Hello, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Here is today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. It's Sunday, and we still have a pretty active pattern as a strengthened jet stream provides northwest flow and a series of fronts. One's already moved through the northeast, another one's coming, and it's going to keep the severe weather pattern quite active through the next 4 days. So let's take a look at today. We have a severe thunderstorm risk level 2 out of the 5 for parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota, and for a strip of most of North Carolina, parts of South Carolina, over to Atlanta, and also a small sliver there of Virginia as well. Most of this is going to be wind risk here. These areas of yellow are a 15% chance of a severe wind gust that's 59 miles per hour or greater within 25 miles of a point. And so there's the two areas. Basically, the slight risk area on the previous graphic is where that came from. These wind risk areas here, these 15% wind risk areas. However, there is this little enhancement I do want to show you here when the SPC does have this little hatched area out. For wind, there are 3 levels of this, and these percentages will change accordingly. So this is the lowest level intensity probability forecast. So in other words, instead of just saying, the 15% just says anything above 59 miles per hour, 15% chance. This right here attempts to be a little more specific about the intensity probabilities. You can still see, though, even though this is out, that there's 55 plus 31, so almost all that's going to stay below hurricane force, with just a small chance of it being above that. So that's how that breaks down. And really, in that part of the world, the hail risk is there too. And they, again, kind of outlined an intensity for that as indicated here. So you just add those two together, you get about an 83% chance it'll be less than 2 inches, and about a 50-50 chance it'll be less than 1.5 inches in diameter, even though the official criteria for a severe thunderstorm is 1 inch. So that clears all that up for today. This is not the biggest day. Those are coming. So let's take a look at the severe thunderstorm probabilities here. For today, Sunday, nothing showing up for tornadoes really at all. Hail, pretty minimal. They get a little more excited about the wind probabilities on this particular learning machine over in North Carolina, with a 30% issued out there. So now let's take a look at Monday. This has continued to ramp up each day. And now we have this little tiny area here in North Carolina of marginal risk, but quite clearly this focuses your attention in the Great Lakes states, zooming in on that. Wisconsin is certainly the center of attention when it comes to this. So we have a level 3 out of 5. And, this is indicative, again, of a stronger jet stream pattern. So when the winds aloft, which typically get very weak in the summer, strengthened, basically, we can get more organized severe weather like you would in the spring. So that's what explains this. And then generally speaking, in the summer, unstable air is not a problem. That is usually around in vast quantities. Now you can also have arguments about the quality of the instability. But anyway, when a front comes in, a jet stream pattern comes in, automatically, hands down, it just enhances all these risks. So let's take a look at this for Monday. For Wisconsin, a little bit of Iowa too. Look at this. The tornado risk is actually showing up at 5% here. So 5% chance of any size or strength tornado within 25 miles of any point you pick. And then the SPC did outline this area here where they assign intensity values. Still, again, if you add these two up, so you get about 79% chance of it being an EF1 or 0. But not an impossible chance to get a slightly higher tornado intensity out of this, especially the EF2, 14% chance. But if you add up all these here, you get about 20. So 1 out of 5 chance that a tornado that does occur would be at that intensity level. Not particularly disturbing, but anyway, that's a useful graphic. And by the way, there are 3 of these intensity levels. So if you ever get to the point, and we did that several times this spring, where we have intensity 2 outlined within that, let's say, that's saying something. But again, it's saying something for the latter week of July to even put that out. The wind risk is high too, so we've got a 30% chance of a wind gust 59 miles per hour or greater, and the percentages in the hatched area break down as they did earlier. Again, most of that probably staying below 75 miles per hour, which is hurricane force. And then the hail risk kind of goes side and side. So it's almost like we took the North Dakota threat from today, shifted it southeast, expanded it, and made it a lot worse. That's exactly what's happening as that jet stream plunges into the Great Lakes states. Take a look at NATOcast for tomorrow. They have a 10% chance in the area around Rhinelander, up into the UP of Michigan, and then a small little hatched area there, a 10% chance, if you read that on the bottom here, of an EF2 or greater. So again, if you're in northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, be on the lookout for that. And it's a kind of a sparsely populated area, but nevertheless, there could be a bad situation up there come Monday for sure. If we look at CSU's outlook, they have a kind of a broad brush, very similar to what the SPC put out, with that 5% risk there in the Brown area. Hail, yeah, a little bit, but they're a little bit maybe more excited about the wind possibility with these storms, and that's typical for summer. The hail threat kind of goes away a little bit, and the wind and threat takes over. Tornado does pop up sometimes. Usually it's wind. And then we go to Tuesday. This whole shooting match, as they say, shifts southeast again. So eastern Pennsylvania down through Ohio into northern Kentucky, a good chunk of West Virginia. So Pittsburgh, Columbus, Huntington, Cincinnati, all in this for Tuesday, the level 3 out of 5 on the widespread nature of any severe weather. And then this is day 3 for the SPC. They don't break it down any more than that. They don't go by type. But that's where we can look here and kind of see that the tornado threat for CSU's idea of what's going to happen here is up in New York State, around Albany. And that the hail threat doesn't really show up significantly, but the wind threat seems to be focused around Kentucky, as this indicates. And then we have, again, on Wednesday, the whole thing shifts southeast, one more set of states. So then on Wednesday from almost Washington, but Delaware, down through Richmond, Virginia, to Raleigh, to Fayetteville, to Charlotte, North Carolina, Florence, South Carolina, all the beach areas here, Virginia Beach, down to the Cape, are all in this risk area. So on this map here, CSU, that's the SPC forecast, and then it's pretty well matched with what they're thinking. Then beyond that, we really don't have any significant severe weather probabilities to talk about, so things kind of quiet down again. Supercell composite for the first week here, the 19th through the 25th, does have that little emphasis there. That's almost certainly what we're talking about is Monday's set of circumstances, and then as this progresses southeast, as the SPC has indicated, that's where the supercells are populating. Then in week 2, still a lot of high percentage chances here in the northern plains, but look at this down into Kansas. And this in the Great Lakes is kind of expected, but this is the time of year where we have a setup. It's either going to be thunderstorms coming along a northwest flow, which I think is still going to continue, or front range storms, and that seems to be a combination of both. Then week 3, which gets us solidly into the first days of August, again, very persistent supercell percentages showing up from northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, straight into the heart of Iowa, even over into Wisconsin, Illinois, and then a separate set of higher percentages there close to the Canadian border.